What's up, guys? Michael Levan here from clouddev.engineering LLC, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to create a virtual environment with PowerShell. So I haven't rehearsed this, I haven't written any code. This is purely coming from developer sitting behind his keyboard writing some code. There's going to be bugs, there's going to be syntax issues, there might even be a little bit of Googling. Let's see what happens. So the first thing that I want to take a look at is the network itself. So this is going to be all in Azure, by the way. So we're going to be using, Azure PowerShell module primarily. So first thing I even want to take a look at, to be honest, is the actual module itself. So So let's see if we can get some ideas here. New AZ virtual network. Okay, so it seems pretty straightforward. So let's minimize that. Let's go back here. Let's do here it is, network. New. Alright, so first let's take a look at the core code that we're going to be writing here. So we saw it looks like it's new AZ network, right? New AZ virtual network. Virtual network. So first, alright, let's put this into a variable, and then let's take a look at what properties we have here. Address space text. Alright, name, location. So a few different things here. Alright, that's perfect. So first let's do get help new AZ virtual network, and I'm actually curious to see what parameters are mandatory. So let's see. Okay, so the address prefix is definitely mandatory. So let's start by creating our parameters, and we can go ahead and splat these out. Create a hash table here. First one is address prefix. We know we definitely need this, so let's do and dot 0.0 dot with the example show. Alright, do this. We'll do a /24 though, because we don't need that many IP addresses, to be honest, for our development network at least. So let's see. We know the next one needs to be, this is false, this is false, this is false, this is false, false, false. True. Okay, so location, we need to set our region. US. Let's see what else. Name, obviously. Name. We'll give it dev vNet. Resource group name. Resource group name. I'm going to put it in my dev2 resource group, and it looks like those are the only mandatory params. Cool. So before even moving on, right, I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut this, go here. So I don't want to hard code everything in. So I want to definitely call my splat like this, but I want to set up some params. So let's say this is a string and we want to do address prefix. Typically, if I'm creating anything from a commandlet or a module that already exists, I'll most likely just use the parameter names that are already there because I don't want to cause any confusion, kind of just like start making stuff up for no reason. So we'll do location, East US, oh, the name, say name, and resource group, say RG, right? I'll make my own up there, breaking my own rule. So do name equals devnet cloud dev. Sorry, I'm making so many typos because I have this microphone in front of me, so I can't look down really quick and it's kind of awkward. So it's going to be RG, and I want this to be dev2. We'll come up here, we'll add our comma in, right? So we have our core code here. This is kind of what we want to run, right? So this is pretty much just like the core of creating the virtual network itself, which is good, right? So as you can see here, we can definitely start adding some subnets and stuff as well. So we'll just go ahead and add the subnet. We'll ensure that that's part of our core code as well. So we'll do subnet params. We'll make another splat here, and let's see what's needed here. Name, address prefix, virtual network, add AZ virtual network subnet config. So add AZ AZ virtual network subnet config, right? So let's take this, let's look up what's needed here. Alright, let's scroll up. Alright, so we know we definitely need the address prefix. So we can come here, address prefix. We're going to be pulling the same one, right? So we're pretty much essentially going to be pulling the same one. Actually, no, we're not pulling the same one. So that's actually going to be smaller. Yeah, it can be bigger. So let's do this. Let's create subnet prefix. We'll make it a little bit smaller. We'll make it a /32. We'll come down. Change this. False, false, true. We need to give it a name. So we're gonna name it very straightforward. We're gonna do name, right? So this is our vNet name, and then we'll do plus subnet. And what else we got? We got name here, false, 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 true, virtual network. That makes sense. So virtual network, and that's just going to be the name of the virtual network. Looks like it can be the name, right? Let's just confirm. Yep, it can oh no, it actually can't be the name, so it needs to be the entire object. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do this then. We're going to say vNet equals, we're gonna create our vNet, we'll call our variable, and then this parameter will be vNet. I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so I said we had our core code before, but I was just kidding. We have our core code now. So within our core code, let's just do a Alt-Shift-F here, make everything look pretty. So I want to make this reusable, right? So let's just create a function here, new network, right? Alright, we'll format this again. Alright, so let's see. We'll create our commandlet binding here so we can turn this into an advanced function. We'll do a support should process here. Do a confirm impact equals low. And then that should pretty much be it. We'll do a default parameter set name as well. vNet deploy. Alright, so we have this information here. Let's go ahead and format this. We're all good. So let's start thinking about what we need to do with our parameters now, right? So first thing we need to do is we need to set up our parameter block, right? So we want this to be mandatory, right? The address prefix, I don't really care about the position for the address prefix, to be honest. I actually care about that more for the name, and then I'll allow value from pipeline so people can throw it in at the pipeline, and then they could do, you know, the name, pipe, new network. Let's see what else. Do the parameter set name equals vNet deploy. What else? I think that should pretty much be it for what we need for this specifically. So go down here, paste, 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 and paste. So alright, so we have some default values here, but obviously if we pass in the mandatory parameter, it's going to prompt us. It's going to prompt us for any parameters that are mandatory specifically. So if we're saying address prefix is mandatory, even though we're passing in a value, it's still going to prompt us for that value. So I actually might just take it out for this demo and then, you know, add it back in, or we can just run it at the command line and see what happens. So I'm curious, I want to see if there's any parameters that I'm missing. I already know the value from pipeline I want to use. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. So I want to come down here, at least for the name, right? I want to do value from pipeline. Oh no, wait, I actually think this is let's come here. Value from pipeline equals true, right? And then I'm also going to throw in a validate not null or empty attribute here, just to give us a little bit more protection. Throw this in for the rest of our parameters as well. Oh, I already did it for that one. Ha. Right, and then right, so format this, make it look pretty again. Right, so that's pretty much our core code here. The last thing we want to do is we want to do some begin, process, and end blocks. So we'll do begin block, we'll do process block, then we'll do an end block. So essentially what this means is a begin block and an end block is something that's ran once, right? So anything in the process block can be ran multiple times. In the begin block and the end block, it's ran once for the function. So for example, what I'll sometimes put in the begin and end blocks, right? let's say I'm working with like PowerShell SQL, right? For example, what I'll do is I'll put maybe like the opening to a connection here, and then I'll close that connection in the end block. Or let's say I'm like working with multiple subscriptions in Azure, right? And I need to be able to pass in a parameter to set a subscription. So if I want to set a subscription, let's say like I need to set it to prod, right? And then that means that my AZ context will be set just for PowerShell, not for AZ Cli, but at least for PowerShell, it'll be set to that specific subscription. So if, for not even from a security perspective, but just from like paying attention, right? Like I don't want my context to be set to production because like, let's say I run something and it can negatively impact a production environment. I don't want to do that. So then maybe in my end block, I'll do like a set AZ context, and then I'll do like whatever the name is of my dev environment. So then it'll always be set to my dev environment, and I won't ever have to worry about like doing anything negative in my production environment if I'm running any of my code. But that's just me. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can put in your end blocks and your begin blocks. So now I think the last thing that we'll try to do before we actually try to run this is we'll do some error handling. So we'll just do some basic error handling. We'll do try block around actually creating virtual network with a catch, and then we'll do the same thing for the subnet. So, and if you're not familiar with try catch, this is just some basic error handling that if something happens, let's say something happens in the first block, what'll happen is it'll stop and it'll print out whatever's in the catch block or whatever error occurred. So again, we'll do this very basic. Error occurred, right? And we don't really have anything specific that we want to set up for this. We don't have any like specific errors from an exception perspective. So we'll call the PS commandlet class, and within that class there's a method to throw terminating error. And within this method, we'll just do a special variable here, which essentially means anything that comes in, anything that's in the pipeline, any value here, any output, it goes in here specifically, and then it gets printed out to the screen. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll use that PS commandlet class to throw terminating error, and then the special variable here so we can throw out any errors, right? So I think that's pretty much it. So let's do this, right? I'm actually curious. I don't want to. All right, let's do this. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to comment these out because I already have these values here and I don't want to keep typing the values in, and then we'll actually run it from the command line, but I'm just curious if this is going to work or not. So do new network. No. All right, new network. Oh, I have a typo there. See? Bugs already. Run this again. New network. See what happens. Okay, your Azure credentials have not been set or have expired. Connect to AZ account. Okay, that's pretty cool. So this is actually going to occur if, well, obviously if your credentials have expired, or if you haven't typed in your credentials at all, you'll have to connect your account. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna open up web browser here. All right, cool. Could not load. I've actually never seen that before. Ooh, all right, maybe we have to run it again. You just... Interesting. No, it's actually set. Huh. Okay. So let's try. I have another error here saying that my virtual network is null. Interesting. So let's try this one more time. New network. So strange. New network cannot bind argument to parameter virtual network because it is null. Okay. And the reason why it's null, obviously, is because it does not like, I don't know if it doesn't like my credentials, or let me try to switch to PowerShell core here. Here, you know what? I'll even create a new session here. Alright, let's try this again. Let's do get AZ context. Okay, so I definitely have like something. So I check my VMs. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely connected. So let's try to run this again. Okay, so super strange. Okay, so it actually did create here. Now, I don't know why, but like I was using the PowerShell integrated environment, and that's still Windows PowerShell, and it didn't like it for some reason. And then I switched to PowerShell core, and it was fine. So that's a little buggy. Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. So let's go ahead and log into my portal here. Right, and we'll go to tab 2, and maybe my environment is still being created. Oh no, wait, is that actually the name that I gave it? I think it might be. Let's see, what name did I give it? Nope, vNet cloud dev. It definitely was created, but it looks like it just needs a little while to show up, maybe? Let's see. Oh, there it is. Alright. So, here's my network. It's created. I have an address space. If I go to my subnets, subnet was not created. I wonder why. Let's go back to the code. Did it say that it was? It actually said that my subnet was created. What? Maybe it's still being created? Let's go back. This is definitely the network. Interesting. Definitely said that it was created, but sometimes it takes a little while for Azure resources to actually show up. So, weird. Alright, so let's do something really quick, just out of curiosity. So remember, I'm calling the virtual network from the vNet. So I don't know if it's either trying to recreate it, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do the ID. I should be able to call the ID of the vNet here. So let's try this, see what happens. Oh, term catch is not recognized. What? Strange. Let's try this. Where's the catch block? Alright, now let's just select here, right? And then let's try this. Okay, so it's actually null. Why is it null? Okay. Yep, alright. Let's go here. We're gonna delete. Let's wait for this to delete. And while this is going, head back to our code. And this should give us some sort of ID. Because remember, like if I'm gonna go New AZ virtual network subnet config. Address prefix. Where's that virtual network? It was here. Is that the command that we're using? Yeah. Oh, add. That's why. So, alright. Let's look at this example. So, virtual network. Shouldn't have to pipe it. Maybe. Add a subnet to an existing virtual network. So it looks like it actually wants a pipe. So we're doing this. No, we're not doing this. Maybe that is our issue. Am I just doing add? Okay. So we'll do new. And then if I do new, yeah, because it looks like I was just trying to add one in, but that one obviously didn't exist. So if I look at this, name my virtual network, right? So it actually looks like maybe I can just add it. Oh no, wait, new. No, I want this one. Oh yeah, that's the one that I had. Alright, name, front end sub. So that's fine, we'll do this. We have the address prefix already. So name, front end. Okay, so at this point is where I'm gonna have another block to add. Okay, I think that's where we were going wrong. So I have a new here, right? So then I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna do add subnet params, right? I'm gonna have my splat here. Add subnet params. Have my hash table. What are the parameters that it wants me to use again? Okay, so it's pretty much like the same thing as these, except gotta specify a virtual network, right? Virtual network. So again, it's actually specifying when it creates the virtual network, which is what I was trying to do before, but wasn't actually created. So I'm gonna do virtual network, right? And then I'm gonna do my vNet, right? And then at this point, maybe we should be good. Yeah, I don't think I need to do this. This is just like the set AZ virtual network command updates the existing virtual network with a new subnet. Yeah, we're creating it like all in all though, so that shouldn't really be an issue. Let's go ahead and run this. See what happens. Okay, so I didn't get any failures, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, so this one, it shows that it created the subnet. Then I wonder if it actually added the subnet. Like this, it looks like it added the subnet. So let's go back. We'll have to do a few refreshes here again until it decides to come up. Now, what's strange is that if we take a look at what we had before, right? This is before we add, yeah. So you see here how I'm just using like the add AZ virtual network subnet config, right? I'm not creating a subnet configuration. Now, the interesting part is that Azure is taking it and saying, okay, this is the subnet. It's not erroring out saying like, hey, this subnet doesn't exist or anything. It's taking it and it's saying that it's adding it, which is interesting. And it's like the same thing that we're seeing down here. So I'm curious like why it doesn't error out. Interesting. Yeah, let's see. Did any subnets actually get created this time? They did not. What the heck is going on? Alright, let's go and take a look at our code again. I wonder if I should just run that set. So virtual network and then set virtual network. Let's try it. I'm not 100% sure like why I would need that, but so we'll say vNet. And then we'll pipe it to this, right? So let's go through, let's delete our virtual network again. Yeah, I'm kind of curious why. So this pretty much says like the set AZ virtual network command updates the existing virtual network with the subnet. Now, I mean, it looks like they're pretty much doing the same thing that we're doing here. We just have a little bit more logic in our code, but it's creating the new virtual network and then it's setting it. But in my mind, in theory, why do I need to set it if I'm adding it, right? But yeah, maybe you do. All right, that's fine. So let's say refresh. Still being deleted. Let's try to delete this one more time. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our code here. We added something new and shiny and fancy into our code. Go ahead and run this selection, and then we'll do new network. Let's see what happens here. Fingers crossed. Okay, so it's trying to set it here because this is the point that we got to last time where created the virtual network. Oh, IP address prefix is not valid. Interesting. On a local site or virtual network, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's try this. All right, so change this to /24. We'll change this to a /16. We'll go here. We'll refresh. DevNet Cloud. Delete. Alright, let's see what happens. Still being deleted. Yeah. Alright. So let's go through this again. We're not really changing any code here. Well, yeah, we did change code. We changed, well, yeah, just the subnet ranges. So this is our CIDR range. This is the subnet range in which our VMs or whatever we connect to this network will get IPs from. So it's added. Let me refresh this one more time. Why does it randomly pop up like that? So we'll do a delete one more time. All right, cool. So let's try to run this again. Now, another thing that's interesting, right, is that it didn't say anything before, but I'm curious if like it didn't say anything about it being an invalid network. So I'm curious if that's because like if you want to, you can create a network, you can create as many subnets as you want. It seems like, however, if you try to set anything or update that virtual network, that's when it screams and cries. So at least we know that moving forward. I never really worked with the network portions of PowerShell and Azure, to be honest. I've primarily always done things like this in like Terraform or Ansible, so that's why I kind of wanted to play around with this using PowerShell here. Okay, so we're good. We got our network created. Okay, so it didn't kick and scream. So let's see. So here's our CIDR range. Here's our subnet range. We'll do a /24. That's okay because we don't need that many IP addresses for this environment. Okay, so it looks like it was actually set this time. Let's go to this network. Let's go to subnets. Sweet, and here's our subnet. It has been created, and we've created a virtual network here. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire video, guys. I just kind of wanted to go through creating a network DevNet. This code will be available on github.com/, what is my repo for this code? Let's go back to the code and check. Oh yeah, so the Life of the Engineer blog repository, it's an open repository. It's public. Feel free to steal this code if you'd like and play around with it. But yeah, you can find that code there. So cool, guys. Thanks for watching.